Guys, it's Gsluke bringing you my top three fades and sleepers for the 2021 PGA Championship. The top three fades are going to be the guys I think that are a little bit overowned. You should probably avoid those guys. And my top three sleeper picks are going to be guys that are overlooked, diamonds in the rough for you this week to take down a GPP. So hopping in right into my fades for this week. At number three, we have Abraham Answer, a $7,900 priced golfer at projected ownership of around 25%. It may even go a little bit higher than that. And a lot of that's due to his recent form. He's coming off two top three finishes in a row. Obviously, a really nice price tag as well, as a lot of that pricing came out before the Byron Nelson last week. And he's going to end up the highest owned golfer in the entire field. Again, he has a lot going for him, but for me, he just doesn't profile very well for this type of course. You know, he's one of the shorter hitters on tour. He gains a lot of his strokes off the tee with accuracy, which I don't think is a bad thing to have this week. But for him to be the highest priced golfer in the field, you're really looking for somebody that profiles well, is coming in with good form, and has a good price tag. You know, he has two of the three, not all three, and I'm just not convinced that he's going to have the greatest week. You know, we've seen him in the past in majors. This isn't his first major by any means, and he's struggled for the most part. We haven't seen him top five in a major. He always scores a little bit below his placement points. He makes a lot of pars. He doesn't make as many birdies and bogeys and whatnot. And I think his price point's also a little bit misleading. At that $7,800 price range seems like a really good price. You know, you're in that 7K quote unquote tier, but you're still $300, $400 less than the 8K tier. That's full of very rock solid plays that I think just have a lot more potential than somebody like Answer. So again, he's not more likely than 25% to finish in that top six in scoring. He's an easy fade for me, especially if he goes in higher ownership than that. For my number two fade, it's Daniel Berger at a price tag of $8,700. He's projected to be owned in that 23.5% range, maybe 24% range. And I have a very similar argument with Berger to what I had with Answer. He's somebody that's coming in with decent form, you know, a top three finish last week at the Byron Nelson. He's made a few cuts before that, nothing special though. He's just somebody that does not profile well for the course. You know, he's short off the tee. His worst statistic in terms of shots gained is around the green. And overall, he's got two of the three things I'm looking for. You know, that form. He's got the price tag. You know, $8,700 is pretty good for Daniel Berger. Again, the only issue is at 24% ownership, it would take a lot of leverage to get over on him. And he's just not somebody I think that's going to pop this week. And as a result, he's going to be a fade. These shorter hitters, I just don't see winning this week. And when you're getting above that, $7,800, $7,900 price tag range, you're looking for somebody that can win a golf tournament. So that's why he's a fade. And lastly, my number one fade this week is Bryson D Chambeau, coming in at $10,200. Now, Bryson D Chambeau is probably my favorite golfer in the world, but he's coming in this week at 16% ownership right now. I expect it to come in closer to 20%. Is a lot of casuals really like Bryson D Chambeau. He's a very popular golfer and whatnot. And we see week to week that his ownership actually comes in a lot higher than what most people project. And again, he's always a popular play, usually popular for me, but he's just not trending in the right direction. We've seen him make a few cuts of late, but hardly make them on the number. Come out, have a few decent rounds on the weekend, but overall, we've seen a lot of issues with Bryson game. He's lost strokes on approach in his last 6 rounds. That's not good at all. He's been gaining all of his strokes off the tee with his putting, even around the green from time to time, which isn't a really bad thing to see. It's great to see him excelling in some of those other categories, but we all know the most important, the most integral part of golf is that approach game. It's that statistic that's the most consistent from week to week. It's where you gain the most strokes on the field in any given tournament, any given round. And somebody that's struggling in that category, it's really hard for them to win. I mean, we've seen Bryson DeChambeau play some amazing golf. I mean, just smashing the field off the tee. He's one of the best, if not the best putter in the world. But he's not winning golf tournaments because he can't hit a green for his life. I mean, he's hitting his irons 15 yards too long, sometimes 15 yards short. And to be honest with you, I'm just going to wait until I see that form come along. There was a few times last year, I bet him like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. He ended up winning, I believe, 2 out of those 4 weeks. One of them was the Rocket Mortgage. I forget the first tournament that he won. But either way, he was coming in with just scorching hot form. You knew he was going to be, in that top 5 every single week. I don't think he finished below a 7th place in that stretch. But this is not one of those stretches for him. He's nowhere near that form, so he's definitely a fade for me this week. I'll wait until I see some. Now for my sleepers, my number 3 sleeper is going to be Garrick Higgo, a $7,400 price tag golfer who's coming in at just 1% ownership. Some places have him at less than 1% ownership. He's somebody that not a lot of golf fans are very familiar with. Even some of the diehard golf fans don't know of the guy. He's a South African. He's been playing on the European Tour. And long story short, he's won 2 out of his last 3 events on the European Tour. They were larger size events as well, comparable to Corrales, to the Puerto Rico Open, those type of events. So you're essentially looking at a guy who's a 2-time winner on the PGA Tour, that kind of level golfer, at $7,400 and 1% ownership. And did I mention he's literally coming off those 2 wins? This guy is obviously in some great form right now. I think a lot of the reason people, refuse to play him this week is, one, the unknown. They actually haven't seen him hit a golf shot before. But even more than that, the $7,400 price tag is just a little bit higher than even what I expected, to be quite honest with you. He is coming in off those 2 wins, but we haven't seen him in a PGA Tour event or a major ever. He has elite length off the tee, I'll give him that. He's been putting his lights off the last 2 months. The number 1 putter on tour in the European Tour the last 2 months. Again, unfortunately, I think, and I may say fortunately, we don't have much data on the guy, so a lot of people aren't playing him, which makes him very easy to get over the field. My number 2 sleeper pick is Bubba Watson at a $7,500 price tag and a projected ownership of only 5.5%. He's coming in scorching hot form, especially for Bubba. He's cracked the top 26 in 6 straight events. He's also made the cut in 8 straight events. And he's quietly been the best driver of the ball over the last 2 months. He's currently gaining 0.8 strokes per round off the tee. That's over the last 2 months, and that's number 1 in the field. And something we see from Bubba is that he goes on hot streaks of golf. He likes certain golf courses. He seems to find a groove from time to time. And sometimes when he does that, he goes out and he wins a major. We've seen him do it twice before. We've seen him do it at the Masters before even. And when you look at a lot of the golfers in that mid $7,000 range, you don't get anywhere near the win equity that you get with a guy like Bubba Watson. Bubba Watson can go out, he's going to win maybe an event every single year. And a lot of those golfers in that range have never won an event in their entire life. So at 5.5% ownership, it makes it very easy to get over the field on a guy like Bubba Watson, and he gives you a lot of, high potential upside as well. And lastly, at number 1, we have Patrick Cantley, an even $9,000 golfer, and he's only projected to be owned in 7% of lineups this week. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact he's not been coming in the best form. We've seen him miss a few cuts of late, and a lot of that goes into his pricing as well. Obviously, he was in the $10,000 range a few months ago, high 9s, and now he's almost into the $8,000 tier. The only signs of hope we've seen over the last at least 3 weeks, at the Zurich, we saw him finish 11th with Xander. I think Xander carried the team pretty hard there, so I don't look into it too much. And we also saw a really, really good round from him at the match play. He's playing against Brian Harman. I believe someone tallied it. It was like 11 birdies he made out of 18 holes. An absolute stellar round that doesn't count on the books because it wasn't stroke play. It is something that I like to see, though. A lot of people have been giving him a bad stigma of late, saying he's playing absolutely horrible. The truth is that he comes in number 5 this year in terms of shots gained total. That's out of the whole field, not just like the $9,000, $8,000 range. That's out of the whole field. He's been a stud this year. I think there's a false misconception that he's been playing some bad golf. He's really just had a few bad events of late. And we've still seen that high upside. We saw that high birdie round at the match play. We saw him do well at the Zurich, especially in the alternate shot section. And I just think that the price tag's a little bit disrespectful, and especially the ownership. He's definitely worth taking at least a few ganders on. And at 7% ownership, you don't have to do very much to get over the field. So those are my fades and sleepers for this week, guys. Let me know who your biggest fade this week is. Maybe it's one of my guys. Maybe it's somebody that you guys don't like as much. But let me know in the comments. And make sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed, especially subscribing. It makes sure that you guys can see videos when I post them in the future. It also helps me out a lot. And good luck, and I'll see you next week.